others, I would say, in every type of way that I can think of. So yeah, just give thanks for more abundance and more of whatever it is that you want to see. So just let me know in the comments any suggestions that you have. Yeah, just anything you want to see more of, anything that you don't like, just let me know and I will adjust the channel to make it right. So here we go. Another day, another flow. So what I know is I just finished the app yesterday called the Breakout Radar, and got it right here. So here we go. So here is the start of the show. I'm going to tell you what I know. The Breakout Radar is essentially a technical indicator tool that I created. All the other technical indicator app tools that I created were based off of like technical indicator tools that I've used in the past that already exist. This one right here is a tool that I have not found anywhere else, that basically in the past I've had to manually kind of create myself and draw the lines myself. So I thought for this one, this is something that a lot of investors do, but I thought for beginners this would be great because it would be an app that takes care of all the work for them, and it also gives some more information than just like what is listed on essentially what's listed as far as trend lines. So yeah, this app is going to be all about trend lines, and here we go. So I searched a few stocks on it, and I'm showing you guys a stock called Fubo. Essentially, I'm showing you this stock because this stock looks like it is the closest price to the major floor. So this app has a, let's see, major ceiling and major floor, otherwise known to investors as support on the bottom and resistance at the top. Now you could draw, a lot of like traders will draw support and resistance lines based on like a short term. However, this app right here is created for beginner investors who are more looking to buy and hold for a long time. So essentially this is the main support and resistance lines based off of the last 5 years of any stock that you type in here. And as you can see, this stock right here, Fubo, it looks like it's very close, if not even like on the floor, right? So yeah, what it's going to tell you is that this stock is 4.7% from the closest price floor. And essentially, like I've already been like buying this stock a little bit. I bought it a long time ago in the past, and it went way up. So I stopped buying it. I took some profits, and now I'm just kind of waiting. It's dropped a little bit farther than I thought it would. But yeah, it's coming back down to like, kind of the original spot that I bought it. And if I see that it actually hits this floor, it's going to give another indicator saying like the price is at the floor. But this is still pretty close. So essentially it also is going to show you like today's volume, the average volume, and then the volume energy. So it's like 1.23 times more than usual, more than the average. And that's good to know for this, because basically what investors are looking at is if something like, say this were to break through the floor, then it's probably going to go lower to the next level. And if it were to break above the ceiling, then there's a good chance it's going to break higher and like stay in this level. But how do you know, like how can you understand? I mean, you can't really know anything with investing, but how can you be have a more likely idea what's likely to happen, and that is with the volume. So essentially, if a breakout happens and there's more volume than usual, then it's way more likely that that breakout is real and it's not what they would call a fake out. So if it was a fake out, then it would just like kind of break through a line and then break right back down. And that usually happens when there's not enough volume to support it. And volume basically means like the amount of money flowing in and out of a stock each day. All right, so then you've got, I'm calling it the steel walls, which are the floor and the ceiling, and they explain what they are. So like right now, the distance from the floor is about 5%. The distance from the ceiling is about 155%. But check out this stock. The floor support, the average move up when it hits that floor is about 168%. And yeah, you can see the last time it hit the floor, it went up about 433%. But each time it's these are the last 10 moves that it's either hit a ceiling or a floor. But with this one, like every time it's hit the floor, it's gone up like a decent amount. So yeah, this is something you don't have to count yourself. It's going to update each day for every stock. And then on the bottom, I've got the education station. This is essentially showing the 5-year foundation and the traffic light system, like how this kind of like the vibe of the app, how the app works. Validated strength. You can read all this yourself if you want. No Man's Land explains more of like when it's you know, right in between major levels. Essentially, the more in between the support and resistance a stock is, the more unlikely you're gonna know what the next move is. The more unlikely it is that you're gonna be able to have a good read on what's gonna happen next. So yeah, it's best to kind of like be cautious at that time. So yeah, this is really like, these explanations are really for beginner investors, so that they can understand this kind of stuff. I feel like, you know, this, when I made this, I made it so that like a beginner investor could come on here and instead of having to like educate themselves, you know, which could take like hours to do something like this. I mean, this stock is going to give them like that whole education in like 5 minutes, and it's going to apply, you know, everything that they need to know when it comes to these 5-year averages of support and resistance. So you can try out different stocks that you're looking at and just learn as you go. So essentially, hopefully you understand why it's called the Breakout Radar. Gave it that name because this is gonna like, you know, find where prices keep bouncing, potential floors and ceilings. And yeah, and then breakouts are kind of like the main thing that experienced investors would use this tool to find breakouts. But I think like as a beginner, it's giving you a better idea of mostly focusing on just the right time to buy. So, you know, I'm going to put the link for this one in the description right now. And let's see here. We've got it in Vercel. So we'll go to Breakout Radar in Vercel and copy the link and paste it on the description. And there we go. Support and resistance. now I'm updating it, and I just want to make sure. I'm just doing this live this time because I'm seeing what happens if I update this while I'm live, if it works, or if I like have to do it every time before the stream starts. Yeah, it worked. Awesome. All right, now I know. There we go. Staying in the flow. So next thing I'm going to do is bring to you the process, the planning process, get everything going. And yeah, I want to mention too, what I'm doing is like breaking down, kind of combining business strategy with building an app. So with business strategy, essentially what you want to do is create systems with everything. So I'm in the process of with this 30 apps for 30 days for phase one, creating systems of how I run what I do, so I can bring it to you better each day. And then also, hopefully after the 30 days, I have a solid system down. So that way, say like I were to hire someone or even program an AI to create apps for me in the future or any kind of coding project, I could just explain this system to either an employee or an AI and just tell it, like, here's the idea, follow this system to create something. So, like, once I have the system down, I can step back and step away and then go back to the CEO mode and essentially, like, start building the next system for the next part of the business. And when I get that system created, then I can do the same thing. I can either hire somebody or I can train an AI employee to do it. And then I just go each day or however often I need to use that part of the business and give it, what I'm trying to do. I tell it the system, and then it can just put the information through and make something new. So you can see, essentially, I've got the system I've got, and if you look back at my old videos, you'll see the system is a little bit different every day. And yeah, I'm going through like it's a business, so I'm going to start with the next one. So I know I do have an idea for today. I want to make a tool for PE ratio, and that's basically the price to earnings ratio. So yeah, this is really important for beginners. The reason it's so important for beginners is it kind of tells you like if the stock's at a value or not. And I would say the one thing to watch out for is it can be deceiving if the stock you're looking at is like not a well established business, because bigger businesses, I think, for especially for beginners, are better to invest in, because you have a better idea of like trusting that their numbers are accurate, that there's not something like strange going on in regards to like, unfortunately sometimes businesses like do things to change the books to make things like look like it's better than it actually is, because they think that's going to like help their biz, but at the end of the day it just kind of like drives people away when they figure out what's really going on. So with any business, if you want to keep it strong, just make sure you're legit from the start. And yeah, think of it like art. Think of it like art. Like if you do it right, people are going to want to see more. So all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start talking to AI to find the number one problem that they can find in regards to beginners and understanding and applying PE ratios. So all right. All right, I just started streaming, and I want to make the app for today for beginner investors and I want it to be a PE ratio app. Can you search the internet and find the major pain points that beginner investors have in regards to understanding and applying PE ratios to a stock for knowing when to buy? All right, the number one pain point that they found, they're calling it the number without a map problem. So a lot of beginners find a PE, for example, 25, and I'll explain too. I probably should have done that before this, but yeah, I'll explain more about a PE ratio for you guys. But it basically like is a different number, and usually like the lower number it is, the better. But it's also different based on like different sectors. Like if it's a tech stock or like an agriculture stock, it's going to be essentially a different PE ratio. So that's something that my app is also going to address. So people find a PE ratio, but they have no idea if it's good or bad. So like a PE of 25 is a bargain for a tech company like Nvidia, but a massive ripoff for a utility company like Duke Energy. So in the app, I should not just show the number, but show the sector average next to it. So for example, like if it were Apple, it would be like Apple's PE ratio is 30, the tech sector average is 35. So the verdict is its fair value. And the next pain point people have is the value trap, the low PE myth. So many beginners think that if it's a low PE, that means they should just automatically buy. So they buy a stock with a PE ratio of 5 only to watch it go to 0. And the reality is sometimes a PE ratio is low because a company is like slowly going out of business. So this is called a value trap. So the solution here would be to add a health check, the EPS growth for a company. If the PE is low but profits are shrinking, give a yellow warning. The price is low but the company is shrinking, use caution. I really like that idea right there, because that's like the main, I think, they're saying the number one pain point, I get it, that beginners have, but I see this as like the number one thing that could get beginners into trouble. And when it comes to beginner investors, I would recommend that before you focus on making money, you should focus on not losing money. So, yeah, we will do a health check for that. And next pain point is trailing versus forward confusion. So beginners get confused by different PE numbers on different sites. So there's something called a trailing PE, and this looks at the past, like what happened in the past, and a forward PE, and this looks at kind of like the future, but it's like, not certain. The past is obviously certain because you can see what happened and like use the actual numbers, but the forward is usually a guess. So we want to have a trust meter, show the trailing PE as the solid truth, and the forward PE is the market guess. If they're far apart, it means the market expects a big change. And this way, beginners will not get confused and think that this forward PE is like truth when it's more of like a guess, or it is a guess. Just using, essentially using math to make a better guess. So the last pain point that's listed here is going to be the growth blindness. So beginners often see a high PE, like Tesla at 7D, and assume it's too expensive to ever buy. The reality is a lot of fast-growing companies should have high PEs. And the solution for this is to do a PEG ratio. So that's basically like the PE ratio divided by growth of the company. So like if a PEG is under 1.0, like just the number 1, then the stock is still actually cheap, even if the PE were to look high. So, there's like the PE ratio, but then there's also some things that are more even difficult for beginners to understand in regards to when it can be deceiving. So I'm going to be providing these other numbers basically so it can warn or advise people, if the PE might look bad, but it's actually good. Good meaning bad, then it'll let them know that. And if the PE looks good, but there's actually some kind of like caution that a beginner wouldn't understand, then the app is going to let them know that too. And I mean, even for like for essentially like a experienced investor, to my knowledge, that there's nothing that really like does all this in one place. So this would save them a lot of time. So like even myself, I'm getting some value out of these apps I'm creating. Even though I'm creating them for beginners, I'm still seeing like value to someone like me who barely even looks at technical indicators anymore. Because that's kind of like the process is you learn all this stuff as a beginner, and then you apply it to the chart, and over time, you just need to like refer to it less and less. It just kind of all like sticks in your mind. You just look at a chart and it just kind of like you already kind of understand. And maybe one thing will stick out to you is like, well, I should be checking this for this chart or this stock. Anyways, let's see. I would say the number one pain point here is beginners don't know if a PE ratio number is actually good or not. All right, so I'm going to make that the number one problem. And for the vibe on this one, trying to keep it close to the vibe of all the other ones, which is going to be make it like a traffic light, like red, gold, and green, like you saw on the resistance and support lines that I had. The floor was green. Like if it's closer to the floor, it's more likely a buy. And if it's closer to the ceiling, then it's most likely, not a good buy. And if it's somewhere in the middle, then it's going to be more like yellow, like, slow down, take caution. So I'm trying to make this like as easy as I can for beginners to understand, essentially that they can, understand everything from looking at the app in like less than 5 minutes. All right, so the next thing I want to do is name the app. The next thing I want to do is name the app. So I want a name that's catchy, and I want a name that, a beginner investor can look at the name and they can understand what the app does, like right away, just from looking at the name. Give me 20 suggestions based on these guidelines. All right. So since the PE ratio is basically a price tag for a company's earnings, the best name should sound like a tool that helps you check for a deal or a value. So we got the price tag stock, value vision, smart buy radar, deal detector, fair price finder, plain PE, ratio ruler, easy valuation, simply stocks, math made easy, DCA buddy, entry edge, buy baron, hold helper, wealth window, ticker check, worth it, vibe check. Is this actually live? Yeah, like I'm coming to you live right now. Um, as far as this the app though, I'm about to create it. I'm just starting to create it. So yeah, any questions that you have while you're watching along, go ahead. Any suggestions, anything you don't understand. And then I've got Discord link also in the description, and you can check out the apps I've already made in the description too. So anything I can do to help you, just let me know, and I'll just go with the flow. So yeah, looking at all these names, I think the one thing I should have added when I gave Gemini this prompt was that PE should be in the name, whether it's PE ratio, but people should understand that this is an app for PE ratio. All right, I want to add one more thing in regards to finding a name. The name should have either PE or PE ratio in it. So create a list of 20 more names that use the rules before and also incorporate this new rule. So yeah, I'm doing this as far as how you would name a business. So we got PE price tag. I like that one. PE ratio radar, PE clearance, the PE checker. That one's pretty good. PE bargain hunt, PE buddy, simply PE, PE ratio guide. That one's good. PE pilot. That one's like the catchiest. PE easy, PE proximity, master the PE, PE ratio vision, PE logic, PE pulse. That one's good. PE snap, smart PE, PE sense, minty PE, true PE. I like PE pilot. Suggest the app is steering you towards safe investments. Yes. I like PE pilot. Now give me a list of 10 suggestions for a subtitle. Know if the price tag is fair, the price tag decoder for smart investors, spot the stocks that are historically on sale, valuation math made simple, stock analysis without the headache, your simple guide to buy low, hold long, navigate the market with confidence, clear the fog around stock prices, your dashboard for long-term wealth, stop guessing, start investing. I don't really like any of those. Basically, PE pilot, earlier it was saying, suggest the app is steering you towards safe investments. Give me a list of 10 new subtitles that kind of play off of the earlier suggestion of an app that's steering you towards safe investments. Let's say either safe investments or deals, but I think for beginner investors, it's better to label it as safe investments. Steering you towards stocks with a safety net, your flight plan for safe long-term growth, chart a course to value, navigate away from expensive and towards secure. The autopilot for your long-term wealth, that's probably the best so far. Identify the safe zones before you buy. Your early warning system for overpriced stocks. Steer clear of market traps. Fly above the noise, land on solid value. Guiding your portfolio to a safe, steady landing. I kind of like fly above the noise. Yeah, and always, if you guys like have any suggestions, go ahead in the comments and let me know what you think. But I think fly above the noise, or fly to the bargains or something. Yeah, that's not that important for now, so I'll just go with fly above the noise. No, I want to make it something about bargains, like finding a bargain. Give me 10 new subtitle suggestions that basically say like you're flying towards a bargain, or like being directed towards a bargain. Your radar for landing, the best stock bargains, locked in on your next investment bargain, guide navigation to high value, low price stocks. Stay on track for the market's biggest gains, your final approach to undervalued stocks. That one's good. Spot the bargains, stick the landing. That one, yes. Okay. Spot the bargain, stick the landing. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go with spot the bargain, stick the landing. And then the next step. So here we go. The next step is the build, and I added on a new step to the process. Essentially, there's like some we usually, when like professional developers make an app, I was doing some research and they make some files to start it, just to kind of like make sure everything's like to guide the process. There's a few different files they use, so I'm just gonna do one at a time. Like today, I'm just gonna do the file called PRD file, and this is gonna list core objections, key factors, the tech stack, and the logic rules. So yeah, I'll get this down, and then this will just become a part of the process, and then I'll add another file that developers usually make. So all this, basically what prompted me to do this was like yesterday. Actually, since I've started, I've run into kind of like similar problems I've noticed each time that I built an app. So I was looking, doing research on like, the main problems I'm having, and how can I basically like avoid these problems in the future. And from what I learned, the best thing for me to do was to build this this PRD file. So let's see. Yeah, I think essentially what I need to do first is like plan the app, and then I will make a PRD file based on that plan, and then I'll go to the next step, which is like breaking the plan down into chunks, so that I'm doing just like one step at a time. Alright, before I have you make the PRD file, what I want to do is just give you my vision on what I want this app to do. So going back to the major pain points that people have that I want to address, essentially the first one was the number without a map problem. So beginners find a PE ratio number, but they have no idea if it's good. So like, 25 is a bargain for a tech company, but a massive ripoff for a utility company. So I want this app to not just show the number, but show the sector average next to it. So then it can say whether it's fair value or something else based on what that stock's PE is in relation to the average PE number for that sector. Now for the value trap. So many beginners think that a low PE automatically means it's time to buy. And in reality, sometimes a PE is low because a company is like going out of business. So I want this app to be able to call out value traps. I want to add a health check, basically the EPS growth. So this should show if the PE is low, but profits are shrinking, it should give a yellow warning. The price is low, but the company is shrinking, so use caution. And for the trailing versus forward confusion, beginners get confused by different PE numbers on different sites. So essentially, trailing PE looks at the past, what happened, and forward PE looks at the future, what analysis guess. So I'm going to want to show the trailing PE and the forward PE and explain these by using a trust meter. So I want to show that like the trailing PE is the truth and the forward PE is essentially a guess. And then if they're far apart, then it should say like, the market expects a big change. And if they're close together, then they can say like, essentially the market does not expect much of a change. And then the last one is the growth blindness. Beginners see a high PE like Tesla at 70 and assume it's too expensive. So I want to use a PEG ratio, which is the PE dividend by growth. And this is just something to add, essentially to give a beginner as much information as possible in regards to reading the PE. So as far as like what the app is going to look like, I'm not sure if like including a chart is really going to add value to this or not. I want you to let me know what you think, and then we will just go from there. So I'm not just building a data table. I'm building a decision support system. We're moving from what is the number to what does this number actually mean for the money. And for the question about the price chart, for this specific app, it doesn't really make sense to have a traditional candle chart. If anything, this might distract beginners. So it's better to have a valuation dashboard instead of a price chart. This way, beginners can just focus on value and not any kind of noise. Because essentially, like, this won't be an indicator that would like go over, a chart. So here's how AI is recommending to integrate the 4 pillars I just described into the PE pilot PRD. So the context map, we're gonna have like the PE versus the sector average PE. The vision is like no number exists in a vacuum. Next to the stock's PE, we display a sector badge. For example, like if NVIDIA's PE was 45 and the tech sector average is 38, so if the stock is more than 20% above the sector average, the badge turns orange, premium. If it's more than 10% below, it turns green for a discount. Um, yeah, I like that. And then I think to add something in, probably have something for like red if it's bad. The value trap detector. The vision is to stop people from buying cheap companies that are actually dying. So we pull the EPS growth year over year. So if the PE is less than 10 and it looks cheap, but the EPS growth is negative, like the profits are shrinking, we can flash a yellow warning sign. Like warning, potential value trap, price is low because profits are falling. For the trust meter, we can explain the difference between facts and guesses. So make a horizontal scale with the past fact on the left and the future guess on the right. And the trailing PE will be labeled as historical truth, and the forward will be labeled as analysis prediction. So if the numbers are more than 15% apart, the meter turns purple with the message high turbulence. The market expects a major change in earnings. Proceed with caution. I would just change that to not use purple because I want to stick with the red, gold, and green. So that should probably be like yellow. For the growth blindness filter, the vision is not to let a high PE scare you away from great growing company. So we can add a growth adjusted score using the PEG ratio and speedometer. If the PEG is under 1, the needle stays in the green even if the PE is 70. And the insight, even with a high PE ratio of 70, the flight is efficient because the company is growing at 80% a year. So for the visual concept, they're recommending the center be the valuation radar, like a big buy, hold, wait indicator. The left panel can be a health check, PE growth and value trap warning. The right panel can be the trust meter, the trailing versus the forward gap. And the bottom can be a sector map. Okay, so I see a few things that kind of are not exactly with my vision that I want to change to make sure that like I'm running AI and AI is not running me, so that what actually ends up being built is what I want to see, and it links with my vision and not the AI's vision. I think the main thing is for the PEG ratio, they're saying to add a speedometer if the PEG is under 0. But I think what I should do is basically keep that like, you know, with the stoplight analogy for colors, and then give like a read based on what that is. And then I should have like a speedometer that kind of averages all 4, I guess you could say, indicators together to give like one read. And I'd probably do that between like 1 and 100, which would be like, you know, if it was more towards the green, then it'd be like, you know, more like all these aligned to say it's like a better chance to be a good buy. And then, you know, more towards the red, not so like not a good buy, and then in the middle, to take caution. All right, so gonna let it know what I think. All right, I like most of what you put down for this vision, but some of it does not link with what my vision is. So I'm gonna let you know what I want you to change. So the first thing I want you to change is that I want to keep the red, gold, and green stoplight or traffic light analogy for this. and essentially I can see that there's I think on the trust meter you were talking about a meter that would turn purple, and I want to keep this to be like red, gold, and green. So with every kind of each one of the four reads that you get from this app, red should be like not a good buying opportunity. Gold or yellow should be to be cautious, and green should be like more of a good buying opportunity. And for each one of these four boxes in the app that's going to give like a different read in regards to the PE ratio, I just want to have like the read have like a red, yellow, or green light next to it, and then to give an explanation based on like what the verdict is on that specific read. And then I want to have like one central speedometer gauge that kind of like puts all four different reads together, and then gives you like one side of it's green for if all these are showing green, and everything looks good, like the better it looks, the farther it will be towards the green side, and if everything looks bad, the farther it's going to be towards the red. And essentially I'm thinking to do like 1 to 100 for the speedometer, and like 1 would be bad and 100 would be good. And then I'm not really sure like how I want the layout to be yet, so I'll take your suggestions, and I'm also going to copy and paste the guidelines that I have standard for each one of these finance apps, and then I'll take your suggestion on how you think that this information should be organized on the app. So this is going to be the design and theme background, the tone and the language, the technical architecture, and the aha moment, which is basically every app should have one clear visual. In this case, it'll be like a speedometer or speedometer, however you want to say it, that gives the user an answer within 3 seconds of searching a ticker. So here we go. I'm going to give it this guideline. So yeah, I'm learning like the more thorough I am on making sure that my vision is right from the start with these apps, or pretty much any kind of project I would do, the better it's going to turn out, and the less problems I have. And then also got to make sure that, give it as much information as possible, but then break everything down into steps. So I'm only giving Claude Code one step at a time. All right. Okay. They're saying, yeah, stick to the red, yellow, and green system. Cross all 4 checks. Create a massive amount of aha moments. The user doesn't have to learn a new color language for every tool. They just look for the green lights. The speedometer is 100 0 to 100 is the perfect executive verdict that aggregates all the complex math into one simple visual. So here's the updated PE pilot PRD, structured specifically for the 30-day or 30 app hub guidelines. Okay. So the executive summary, this is like a specialized valuation tool that decodes a stock PE ratio through 4 distinct lenses. It translates a raw financial data into a flight readiness score of 0 to 100, helping beginners identify if a stock is a bargain or a hype-driven risk. Then there's going to be a visual hierarchy and layout. So the top section talking about the colors for the search bar for the tickers. Then there's going to be a hero section, master flight gauge, a large semicircular speedometer. Got the logic for the colors, the main grid. It's going to be 4 checklist cards. Got the color codes. Each has a status light and a friend test explanation. And then the logic for the flight checks. So card A is the sector map. The current PE versus the industry sector average. The lights are green. The PE is significantly below sector average. Yellow, roughly equal. Red is going to be way above sector average. Card B, the value trap detector. The PE versus EPS growth. The profit growth of the company. So green, low PE plus positive profit growth, a healthy deal. Yellow, low PE plus flat, zero growth. It's a stagnant company. And then red, low PE plus negative growth. That's more likely a trap. Card C, the trust meter. Trailing PE, facts versus forward PE, I guess. Green is when the numbers are close. Yellow, when the forward PE is slightly higher. That's expected, like slight turbulence. Red, massive gap. The hype gap, high uncertainty, expected drop in earnings. And then card D for the PE dividend by growth ratio. So a green light will be if the PEG is less than 1. High growth makes the high price actually a bargain. Yellow, PEG, if it's 1 to 2, fair price for the growth. And red if the PEG is greater than 2. So even with growth, the stock is historically overpriced. And the technical constraints, the framework is going to be Next.js, Tailwind CSS. And then we got the theme colors. Formula for the master gauge. Each of the 4 cards provides 25 points towards the 100-point total. I see what they're doing. Okay. So it's going to give it a score of 1 to 100. And like if, card A is green, then that'll get like, 25 points if it's like looking perfect. And each card will have like a 0 to 25 point, and then that's going to like play into that 0 to 100 for the overall speedometer. So let's see, they built a prompt to create the PRD logic. So just want to make sure that I do the PRD logic before I create the files. So just to make sure, I want to give Claude Code this as the first prompt before I create the file structure for this project. More water. Here's the exact master prompt I should feed to Claude Code first. So yeah, I got to do this first. It includes the specific rules, the traffic light, the logic for the 4 boxes, and master gauge integration. Alright, and I just want to make sure that like Claude Code doesn't try to start like building this app based on this, how it thinks it should be. I still want to give it like the step-by-step instructions. All right. And just to make sure, if I give Claude Code this file, I don't want it to like use this file and then go off on its own and then like start building every feature of the app. I would still like to break the plan down into steps and then give Claude Code the steps one at a time to build the app, so I can like make sure that each step is right before I continue to the next one. Is there anything I should consider in regards to this before I give Claude Code this prompt? Saying that's a smart move. One of the biggest mistakes people make with vibe coding is giving the AI too much freedom at once. If it tries to build all 4 features in one go and something is broken, it's a nightmare to find the bug in that mountain of code. Yep, and I've been there before, so that's what I'm trying to avoid. Each day I run into problems. It might take a while to solve them, but I get better and I learn more. So yeah, you can see my journey and learn from me and get better yourself and learn how to do this. So to keep Claude on a leash, I need to change the instruction part of the prompt. So instead of telling Claude to build the project, I should end the prompt with a stop command. So they're going to replace step 1, 2, and 3 at the end of the previous prompt with this. I'm going to build the app with you step by step. For now, only do step 1, initialize the Next.js project structure and create the prd.md file in the root. Do not build any UI components or logic yet. Just set up the skeleton and wait for my next instruction. So I'm very glad that I asked the AI this and didn't just give it that prompt. Like I said, we run the AI does not run us. So once you have taken the skeleton, here's the order I recommend you follow to make sure the app stays clean. Step 2, the layout and theme. Then step 3 should be the data engine. Step 4 will be the individual cards to build one at a time. Step 5 will be the master gauge. All right. So I'm going to copy and paste this onto a document that I can refer to and go back without having to scroll all the way back up the chat each time. All right. So let's see. Whenever Claude finishes a step, always ask it to show me the result before moving on. So that way what I can do is I can locally check it out. If it's good, then I can push it to GitHub, which will essentially save it on the cloud. So if the next step causes a problem that I can't fix, which, you know, I have not had that, like every single day I've gone live, I've been able to actually like finish the app that I started. So fortunately I haven't ran into that yet, but I know this is something I should be learning from the start. Because it's way easier to learn things right from the start than to pick up bad habits and unlearn the bad habits later when you find out that it's getting you problems. So, here we go. Instead of me changing the master prompt, can you just create a new master prompt and incorporate these new changes? Alright, so before I have Claude Code start working, I just need to create the folder. And so I've got in the C drive, I've got a folder called dev, and then in that folder I've got a folder called apps, and then in that folder I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to name it the PE pilot. So now what I want to do is close out this folder in cursor from the last project, and then I can just take the new folder and drag it into cursor. All right. Now I need to open the terminal, start Claude Code. So here's the first prompt. I'm building PE pilot. Spot the bargain, stick the landing. This is a standalone finance tool for beginners. You must follow these strict guidelines for the build, but you must only work on the specific step I authorize. So number one, the project identity and theme. PE pilot, subtitle, spot the bargain, stick the landing, stack, Next.js plus Tailwind CSS. Background and cards, got the color code, typography, got the font and color code, traffic light palette color code, 4-box friend test logic, the sector map, the value trap detector, the trust meter and the growth filter, the master aha moment, the central speedometer gauge, the calculation for that gauge, the visuals, the colors. So then I'm telling Claude Code the immediate task steps. Initialize the Next.js project structure. I think that's basically like the file structure for this folder. Then create a prd.md file in the root directory that documents the vision, colors, and logic listed above. Stop after doing this. Do not build UI components, logic, or mock data yet. Acknowledge that you have set up the foundation and wait for my instructions for step 2. All right. It's looking right. Getting started with the build. Yeah. Here we go. Give thanks. It's all abundance. I'm seeing where anything I want to create, I can do. And same thing is possible for you. Just gotta have the vision. You know, everything starts with vision. And then essentially like believing it's possible, having the right mindset, believing in abundance. You know, no time for scarcity. You know, it's when you get those good ideas, when you get that vision, it's best to flow with it. If you find that the flow is a go and everything's working, then keep going with it. If it's moving slow and you're just hitting resistance, then maybe that's not the best idea for you. Maybe you should look into something else and, you know, just be patient and the next idea will come. And if it flows, then just go and run with it. I mean, that's what I'm doing right here. Like I had this vision, got it started, really enjoyed doing it. So, you know, that's the main thing. Enjoy what you do. Don't put the money first. Put providing value first. Cause yeah, I mean that's like business. That's like business mindset of abundance right there is don't be thinking about like what can I do to create money? Think about like what can I do that I would enjoy doing that can provide value to other people. And the more value you provide, the more money you're going to have the potential to make. So you're not looking to take, you're not looking to like try to find a way so you can like, you know, get the better end of the bargain, like find a way that you can like find some edge over something. Like, you know, you don't have to like struggle to do all that. Like, it's all about abundance. Like, there's enough out here for everybody. It's not about like, you know, beating somebody else to like to get something. That's not even necessary. There's enough. It's all abundance. You just gotta have that mindset and flow with that. So, you know, create the value. The money's gonna follow afterwards. Have the right abundance mindset. Create what you want to create. Don't sit down and wait. Yeah. All right. I noticed something new this time. So I got an error saying that it could not create PE pilot, which is what I named the folder because I capitalized PE. So they just had to change it to lowercase. So now I know every time I create a folder for the name, I just have to use lowercase letters. Otherwise, it'll just take a little bit longer to pick up that issue, and then it has to go and make the change to turn it into lowercase. So yeah, now I know. So I broke it down into steps. I planned it. Um, did the PRD file, and right now it's creating the files. So the next step is going to be MD folder. So I'm going to talk to Gemini. I'm wondering if I should have had it instructed to do the MD folder already, but it's not a big deal. I don't know. All right, on the system list that I'm building, my next step is to create a MD folder. Is this something that I should have done already, or do you think that this is the right time to do this? Now is the time. With one small clarification, I likely want a docs or blueprints folder where I keep all the .md markdown files. If I create an MD folder now, I'm setting up the library for the entire hub. Here's why this is the right move. Since the PE pilot is just one of 30 apps, I need a central place to store the PRDs for every app that I build. If I keep the PRD inside the specific app folder, it might get lost when I merge them later. Or if I merge them later, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I'm just building apps right now, and then I'll go from there. So if I have a dedicated folder, I can always point Claude to that folder to remember the rules for any specific tool. So for today's build, the MD or blueprint folder should hold the global style guide. I think like we already gave it some of that information. So essentially it's saying like create one MD one MD folder for that I would like use for each one of these finance apps I'm making. Whoa. Yeah. I've never seen it just flash white like that before, but thought it was gonna like show me the local site. I was telling it not to do that yet, but it's good, I guess. Um, that is strange. Do not understand why it's doing this. Yeah. Okay. My computer's doing something really weird right now. I think the stream is still going. It says I'm still streaming. But yeah, I gotta figure out why this glitch just happened. The window terminated unexpectedly. Reopen the window to continue where I left off. Okay.